Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something super interesting, the science of making changes that actually stick. And look, this strategy, it goes against pretty much everything we've ever been taught about setting goals. But trust me, the psychology behind it is solid.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You get this burst of motivation. You set a huge, ambitious goal. You're like, okay, this is it. I'm going to work out for an hour every single day, or I'm finally going to write that novel this year. And then what happens? A few weeks later, you're just overwhelmed, burnt out, and right back where you started. But here's a thought. What if the problem isn't you? What if it's not about a lack of motivation or willpower? What if the problem is just the size of the goal? The secret, it turns out, isn't to just try harder. It's to start smaller, like way smaller. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. We have to start with this really fundamental truth about your brain. It's not this fixed, static thing. Not at all. It's actually designed to adapt, to literally rewire itself based on what you do and experience. This incredible power is called neuroplasticity. And honestly, it's the biological foundation for, well, everything. All learning, building any new skill, forming any new habit. You can think of it like your brain's built-in software for change. And I just love this analogy here. Think about it like a trail in a forest. The very first time you walk it, it's tough, right? But the more you walk that same path, the clearer and easier it gets to use. That's exactly what's happening in your brain. Every time you repeat an action, you're strengthening that neural pathway. You are literally forging a trail, making that behavior easier and more automatic each time. So here's how it breaks down. A new action creates just a faint little neural path. But when you repeat it over and over, that path gets clearer. And eventually, that path becomes this super easy-to-use trail. That's your habit. But here's the catch. If you stop using it, that path can get overgrown again. So consistency, that is the absolute key that unlocks your brain's natural ability to change. Okay, that all sounds great, but it brings up a big question, right? If our brains are so adaptable, why is it so incredibly hard to stick with our biggest goals? Well, that brings us to what I like to call the big goal trap. So there's this amazing research from a psychologist named Carl Wake, and he found that framing a goal in these massive, epic terms is exactly what sets us up to fail. When we tell ourselves we have to solve a massive problem, we're basically shooting ourselves in the foot before we even start. And you can see the difference right here. Look at the left side. Massive problems. They just trigger huge amounts of stress. It overwhelms our brains and leads to total paralysis. You know, that feeling of not knowing where to even begin. But now look at the right. Small wins. When you reframe the problem into small, doable chunks, it keeps you calm, it creates clarity, and most importantly, it starts to build momentum. So, you see, the problem was never the goal itself. Getting fit is a great goal. Writing a book is amazing. The problem was trying to conquer the entire mountain in one single leap. The secret isn't to grit your teeth and find more willpower. Nope, it's a totally different strategy. It's all about shrinking the change. All right, so let's get practical. How do we actually do this? What's the formula for hacking our habits? Let's break it down. Okay, so this comes from a Stanford researcher named B.J. Fogg, and he came up with this really simple, elegant model. He says that for any behavior to happen, you need three things to all happen at the exact same time: motivation, ability, and a prompt. Think of a prompt as just a trigger. Now this chart is where it gets really interesting. That curve, that's what Fogg calls the action line. If your behavior is anywhere above that line, it happens. If it's below, it doesn't. But look closely. All the way over on the right, where a task is super, super easy, you need almost zero motivation to get it done. You just do it. And that right there is the hack. I mean, think about it. Motivation is so unreliable, right? It comes and goes. Some days you have it, some days you don't. But you know what you have total control over? How easy or hard a task is? So the most effective strategy isn't trying to constantly boost your motivation. It's to make the thing you want to do ridiculously, unbelievably simple. And this is the core of Fogg's Tiny Habits method. It's a 3-step process designed to get you above that action line every single time. Step 1, shrink the behavior. Make it so easy it's almost silly, like it takes less than 30 seconds. Step 2, find an action prompt. That just means linking your new tiny habit to something you already do, like brushing your teeth. And step 3, and this is absolutely crucial, celebrate. The second you do it, you have to celebrate that win. Now, if this sounds a little familiar, it should. It's really similar to the habit loop that Charles Duhigg wrote about. You have a cue, a routine, and a reward. Both of these models are pointing to the exact same core idea. It's that trigger action payoff sequence that literally wires a new habit into your brain. Okay, so let's move from theory to practice. How does this all build up into real, actual, lasting change? This is where it gets really powerful. Just take a look at some of these examples of what Fogg calls micro habits. Do one push-up after you brush your teeth. Meditate for just one deep breath after you start the coffee maker. Floss one tooth. The key here is that these aren't the final goal. They're the starting pistol. The point isn't to floss all your teeth. It's to make the act of starting so laughably easy that you just can't say no.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. It feels kind of silly to celebrate doing just one push-up, right? But listen, according to all the research, this is probably the most critical part of the whole thing. That little celebration is what hacks your brain's reward system. It sends a powerful signal to your brain that says, hey, that felt good. Let's strengthen this connection and do it again.
In fact, Fogg has a name for this feeling. He calls it shine. It's that genuine little burst of pride you feel, that internal fist pump, or a quiet yes, I did it. It's that immediate hit of positive emotion that makes the habit stick and start to grow all on its own, no forcing required. And this right here, this shows you what happens next. It's all about success momentum. It's created by how often you succeed, not how big the success is. Each tiny win builds on the last. Your confidence goes up. Your motivation actually starts to increase naturally. And all of a sudden, doing 2 push-ups or meditating for a full minute, it doesn't feel like a chore anymore. It just feels like the next logical step.
So when you boil it all down, it comes to this. Forget about the big, flashy, all-or-nothing transformations. Real, sustainable change, it comes from these small, consistent, almost stealthy actions that just fly under the radar of your brain's natural resistance to change. It's not about being sexy, it's about being successful. So, as we wrap this up, let me leave you with a question to think about. What's one goal you have? Just one. Now, what's the absolute tiniest 30-second version of that goal you could possibly do? Maybe even today. And when you do it, please don't forget to celebrate. Give yourself that little moment of shine, because that one tiny win, that could be the start of some really big changes.